Each day the release of the Dogman movie gets closer, and the incredible updates just keep coming. Hit the siren. Ow! But have you seen the explosive new poster packed with jaw-dropping revelations, including brand new characters set to appear on the big screen? It's time to stop this super cow. When a highly anticipated movie like this is in production, the world needs to brace itself to welcome fans into theaters. And of course, Dogman is set to draw an army of comic book enthusiasts to cinemas this January. The release will be global, which means the studios are working overtime to keep major secrets under wraps until the right moment. However, sometimes leaks happen, and surprises don't stay hidden for long. As it turns out, in Serbia and Bosnia, a poster that wasn't supposed to be revealed for a few more weeks somehow made its way online. DreamWorks had no choice but to stop hiding this bombshell news, and now we're bringing it to you. Let's take a look at the poster, and then give you a moment to process it. But before that, here's a big spoiler alert on the screen. Remember, you've been warned. Yes, that's exactly what you're seeing. Characters in this artwork that you probably never imagined would actually appear in a first Dogman movie, right? But the big question is, how is this going to impact the story? You'll find out about this and so much more in today's video. You know the channel's intro by now, so say it with me. It's time for another Cinewave. Hold on to your seats, because it's no longer just a theory. It's officially confirmed that Little Petey, the clone of the villain Petey, will be in the movie set to release in January 2025. This news has stunned Dogman fans for a very obvious reason. Little Petey is without a doubt one of the most beloved characters in this universe. So much so, that many fans would even prefer the entire story to revolve around him. And honestly, who could blame them? I love Little Petey too. But there's a bit of a problem, isn't there? As much as fans adore this character, he wasn't supposed to show up in the first Dogman movie. In fact, some fans theorize that Little Petey wouldn't even appear in the second movie, which we're almost certain will be greenlit in the future. Until recently, fans were working with the assumption that Dogman was meant to kick off a new hit franchise for DreamWorks, similar to Shrek, Madagascar, or Kung Fu Panda. And yes, we agree, and hope that's the direction things will go, with more Dogman movies on the horizon. But if that's the case, what is Little Petey doing in the first movie? This character made his debut in the graphic novel Dogman, A Tale of Two Kitties, which is the third book in the Super series. So by that logic, there are two books in this universe that need to be adapted before Little Petey would even make an appearance in the films, right? Wrong! Because he's officially going to be in this movie. This kind of revelation directly impacts the story fans have been anticipating. With Little Petey's inclusion, we can start theorizing about how exactly this new movie will unfold. Since Little Petey is the primary reason for the evil cat Petey turning good, it's almost certain that the original Petey won't be the villain in this story. The original Petey is, however, responsible for the accident involving Officer Knight and the dog Greg. We've seen this in the comics and also in the trailer. So could this mean there's going to be a time jump? We'll discuss that later. Previously, the most logical storyline was expected to show Officer Knight and the dog Greg suffering an accident caused by an explosion. This incident would then transform them into Dogman, and the movie would proceed to adapt the events of the first book. In the first book, one of the major villains is the mayor, who alongside a mad scientist named Dr. Scum, devises a plan to fire the police chief and replace him with a robotic police officer. The entire plan revolves around a company called Robotime Industries, where Dogman would investigate and uncover the mayor's true intentions to dismantle the police force using robots. To gain public support, Dr. Scum helps Petey, who at this point is already in jail. Using an invisibility spray, Petey escapes from prison and causes absolute chaos. The scientist villain's plan was to use Petey as proof that his robotic police officers were superior. But of course, everything turns out fine in the end when Dogman proves that officers like him are exactly what the city needs. In the second book, which should serve as the basis for the still unconfirmed second movie, Petey uses a high-tech printer to create a 2D clone of himself. Flat Petey, a villain who proves to be completely uncontrollable. Flat Petey is on the loose, causing all sorts of trouble, while the real Petey remains locked up in the infamous cat jail, where feline villains are sent to answer for their crimes. Meanwhile, the police chief's pet fish, Flippy, would have an accident involving living spray, which turned him into the smartest creature in the world. Flippy then escapes his tank and begins wreaking havoc. This was supposedly the full story plan for the second Dogman movie. Would you print a clone of yourself? Drop a comment with #clone and let us know what type of paper you'd use. What we know now from the revelation of this poster is that it's highly likely, almost certain, that the first three books in the Dogman universe will be adapted into a single movie. There are a few Easter eggs in the trailer that confirm this. At the moment when the police chief is training Dogman to pay attention to security cameras, you can spot Petey stepping out of an elevator, but no one seems to notice. On the monitor below, you can also see Flippy, who is trapped inside an aquarium. This means that the events from the second book have either already happened or will happen during the movie. Earlier in the trailer, during a scene in the chief's office, the newspaper headline mentions that the police, particularly their leader, are losing popularity. In the same scene, we see a framed picture of the mayor. This ties directly to the first book and the robotic police storyline. But let's go back to the leaked poster, where not only does the kitten clone appear, but so does ADHD, Petey's super cool robot. This confirms that the third book is part of the story as well. And that brings up a new question. How long? A film like this likely won't exceed an hour and a half. While that's enough time to create a super awesome animation that fans will love, it's not exactly ideal for adapting 3 books in one go. Don't you agree? This leads us to the only plausible scenario. There will be a time jump. Both Dogman and Petey will likely already be longtime rivals, and then finally, the evil cat will execute his plan to create an adorable clone. It's possible that some characters appearing before Lil Petey takes center stage will be cut from the story. But hold on, we know that might make you a little sad. The first and second books won't get enough screen time for us to fully enjoy them. We also want to see the robotic chief and Flat Petey in action. The next book in line to be adapted for the big screen would be the 4th book, and if you're a die-hard Dogman fan, you already know that this is the one where the canine cop dons a cape and transforms into a superhero, fighting crime alongside his sidekick Cat Kid, or Super Kitty as his close friends call him. The revelations from this poster are so incredible that we now know DreamWorks is bringing the Super Buddies to the big screen, featuring Dogman, Lil Petey, and ADHD. But who will they face? It's almost certain to be Piggy. With Flippy imprisoned and Petey back on the side of good, it makes perfect sense that the villainous pig will be the one behind all the chaos in the city. Perhaps this will be the plot of the second movie, but we'll leave that for the future. What's important now is to look back at the other hidden details in the leaked poster. If you take a good look at the buildings in the background, you'll notice that the cat prison is right there. And do you know who's locked up in there? Yes, Petey's father, the worst cat of them all. He's probably going to appear. But do you know who else is likely there, ready to make an appearance? Big Jim! That's right, Commander Cupcake is very likely to show up in this first movie inside the cat prison. The arrival of Big Jim is pretty exciting because the movie is set to release at the end of January 2025, and if you're a Dogman fan, you know that on December 3rd of this year, Dav Pilkey, the creator of our beloved canine hero, will release the 13th comic book in the series, which will focus heavily on Big Jim. That's exactly why the spoilers about characters appearing in the movie have been accurate from the start. You might remember that some earlier leaks hinted that Big Jim would appear in the first film. And if you don't mind getting spoilers about your favorite movies, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications. Our big theory after this leak is that the trailer has misled us all along. First it shows Petey bothered by Dogman, making us think he will be the villain. Then it shows a scene in the office with the chief and some references to Flippy, leading us to believe the evil fish will be the main challenge. Additionally, at the end of the trailer, Flippy is imprisoned and Petey is escaping from prison. But now we know that Big Jim, ADHD, and Lil Petey will be in the movie. Knowing that the movie always saves the best for last, the big villain is probably someone who needs to bring together the Super Buddies. We've already theorized that it must be Piggy, because in the Dogman game, which also launches in December alongside the new comic, the story follows the same line. In the game, Piggy seems to have a plan to release all the villains that are imprisoned. One of them being Flippy, who in the comics uses the life spray to turn the city's buildings into giant monsters that only the Super Buddies can defeat. And with the robot cops we mentioned at the beginning of the video, the ones created by Dr. Scum at the mayor's request, the city won't be able to hold up. That's when Petey will team up with Dogman to save OK City. And no one can convince us that Captain Underpants might not still appear. But that's a conversation for another time. Whether or not we're right with our theories is still unclear, but there are just a little over 2 months left before we hit the theaters to enjoy the Super Dog movie. Until then, you can stick with us. We've got 2 more videos for you to enjoy. See you in the next one.